Today we have a problem on pentagonal prism. The problem statement goes like this: a pentagonal prism, 25 sides of base and 60 axis length, rests on HP on one of its edges of the base. Draw the projections of the prism when the axis is inclined to HP at 40 degree and VP at 30 degree. So I have a problem with 25 sides of a pentagon and 60 axis length. I need to answer two questions: where it is resting and how it is resting. It will always be resting on HP. I need to understand how it is resting. It is resting on one of its edges of the base. So it is resting on the edge of the base. So I need to have an edge on my right hand side when I draw the top view of my pentagon. When I draw the top view of the pentagon. So the solution goes like this. I have to draw my XY line. I have to write the vertical plane and horizontal plane, which is represented by VP and HP. It is resting on an edge on HP. Then I have to draw a pentagon in such a way that I need to have an edge on my right hand side. So I have an edge on my right hand side. I have an edge on my right hand side. Then I'm going to dimension it. The dimension of the each side of the pentagon is 25 which is already given in the problem. So it is 25 I'm going to name it in anti-clockwise direction. Here it is in the clockwise direction. So please forgive me for that. It is, I have to name it in the anti-clockwise direction. So the top base, we have taken it as P, Q, R, S, and T, and the bottom base we have taken it as A, B, C, D, and E. Once it is done, I need to know the midpoint of the pentagon. So for which what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw from the a line which is intersecting the edge which is opposite to the corner. I'm going to draw a line in such a way that it is going to intersect the edge which is opposite to the corner. So starting from the corner, I'm going to draw a line which is going to intersect the edge which is opposite to the corner. So this line is what I'm going to draw. Similarly, the other line which I'm going to draw from all the corners, it meets at a point, and that point is nothing but my midpoint of a pentagon. With that midpoint, I'm going to project all the lines to my XY line. Then I'm going to draw the axis line, which will be the chain line. Chain line will be one large and one small, one large and one small of the axis length, what is given. The axis is nothing but it is the imaginary line from the midpoint of the top base to the midpoint of the bottom base. So I'm going to dimension it in the given problem. The length of the axis is given by 60 So I'm going to dimension it. Then I'm going to naming is done. I know from here whatever the namings you do, P, T, and S is can be seen from this end. So P, T, and S is seen. So P dash, T dash, and S dash are outside the bracket, and Q, R are not seen. So Q dash and R dash are within the bracket. Similarly, A, E, and D. A, E, and D are within the bracket, as well as B and C are within the bracket. Sorry, A, E, and D are outside the bracket, that is A dash, E dash, and D dash, because I can see point A, point E, as well as the point D. So they are outside the bracket. Where I have B and C, B and C are within the bracket. They are nothing but it is B is merging with E and C is merging with D. So they are within the bracket, and I'm going to name it with dash. Also, I have an imaginary line which is the axis. that is O1 dash on the top surface and O2 dash on the bottom surface. So this is what the first view of my front view of my prism. With this next part is I have a axis inclination with respect to 40 degrees to HP. So I am going to draw the axis, but at the beginning I am not going to draw the axis. I am going to convert this axis inclination to the base inclination, which is nothing but I have this angle, it is 90 degrees. 90 minus 40 will be nothing but 50 degrees, which is nothing but this base angle inclination. So from this point, I'm going to draw a line of 50 degrees, then measure from C dash to B dash. From here, I'm going to measure C dash to B dash, cut it down. So from here, I'm going to measure C dash to A dash. So from this point, I'm going to measure C dash to A dash, cut this down. So once I know B dash, A dash, and also I need to know O2 dash. So from here I'm going to measure O2 dash. For this line I'm going to draw 90-degree line here. These are my 90-degree line for this new line which I've drawn at 50 degrees. Then this length from here to here, it is nothing but 60 mm. So this length is 60 mm. So from here, from this point, I'm going to cut it to 60. From this point, I'm going to cut this 60. From this point, I'm going to cut it for 60. And from this point, I'm going to cut it for 60. Close this rectangle. Close this rectangle in such a way that from this point I'm going to draw the angle of 50 degrees, where the axis of 40 degrees is being converted to the base inclination. It is 90 minus 40. So the angle here which I'm going to draw this line is nothing but 50 degrees. The distance from here from C dash to O2 dash, I'm going to measure it, cut this down. C dash to B dash, measure it, cut this down. And from C dash to A dash, measure it and cut this down. Then draw the line. Then from this point, draw 90 degrees. The length of this rectangle is nothing but 60 mm. So from this point 60, from this point 60, from this point 60, cut it, close this down. When I close this down, the namings, whatever I have here, the same will be on this part. That is P dash, Q dash, T dash, O1 dash, R dash, and S dash. On the similar background, I have A dash, B dash, E dash, C dash, and D dash. Then I have a projection of sideways from the top view of the first diagram. Then I have the projection of the bottom base first, that is from A dash here and A from here. So it meets at a point, then B dash from here and B from here, then E from here and E from this end. Then I have O2 from this end, O2 from this end, and I have C dash from here, C dash from this point, D dash from this point, and D from this point. So it all meets at certain points. So those points I'll be just naming it out. It is A, B, C, D, and E. We will be having it in an anti-clockwise direction. We are naming it in anti-clockwise direction. So it will always be in an anti-clockwise direction like this. And this O2, will be as it is. Then once I know the bottom base, I need to know the top base. Top base, again I'm going to project where from P comes, from here P, then Q and Q, T and T, and R from here and R from here, S from here and S from here. Once I know those points, I'm going to name it P, Q, R, S, and T. Once I know it, I'm going to join the top base first, that is from P to Q, Q to R, R to S, S to T, and T to P. This is nothing but my top base, which is always visible from the top. If I see it from the top, it is always visible from the top. So I'm going to draw this top base first. For me, the top base is P, Q, R, S, T to P, back to P. Then I'm going to close the outside line. From Q to B is the outside line. From B to A is the outside line. A to E is the outside line. E to T is the outside line, for which I'm going to close the outside line first, because for a solid, from wherever I see, whatever angle I see, however I see, I have to see the outside edges. It is not necessary that I'm not able to see it. It is not like that. In your home, you can see, you come out of your home, see your home from whatever angle, you will be able to see the outside edges. You will be able to see the outside edges. So for which I'm going to see the outside edges, I'm going to draw the complete outside edges. Once I draw the outside edges, I need to draw this edge always which is visible, that is P dash to A dash. P dash to A dash is the edge which I'm seeing from the top, and it is the first edge which I can see. So P to A is the edge which I can always see. So I'm going to draw that line also and complete it from P to A. Once this is done, I need to know all the lines going out from this point. That is the resting edge. That is nothing but the resting edge, the lines going out from the resting edge. That is this point C dash and D dash. So I have a point, I can see when I see it from the front view, it looks like a point, but it is resting on a edge because I can see it C dash and D dash. So I have a edge E here, which is nothing but C dash and D dash. So the line going out from C dash and D dash will be nothing but dotted line. That means it is a hidden line. So I have a C point first and D point here. So the lines going out from C and D will always be dotted. So what I do is, from C, what all are the lines? First one is C to D. C to D is the first line which goes out, and C to B is the second line which goes out, and C to R is the third line which is going out. And it is also nothing but in a Y shape, two small lines and one large line. So I have three lines. One is from C to D, the other one is C to B, and C to R. That is the three lines going out from C. Also, if I hold point D, I have a line going out from point D is nothing but C, D to C, D to E is one more line, D to E is a line, and D to C is the line, as well as D to S is a line. So again, it is in a Y shape, that is two small and one large line, that is the longer line. That means I have six lines which are going here, but C to D and D to C is nothing but it is one and the same. That means five lines I need to draw here. These are my five lines. That is C to B, C to D, and C to R. Also, I have D to C, D to E, and D to S. So with this, I'm done with my problem, which is nothing but again, I have my edges which are dotted, and the lines going out from that edges are nothing but they are the hidden lines. The next one is again, it is the axis inclination with respect to VP. And when I read the question, I don't have any appears to be word in the question. If I don't have a appears to be, it is nothing but it is the beta angle problem. It is nothing but it is the beta angle problem. So for which the first thing what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line of 30 degree, because the axis is inclined to 30 degrees to VP. And when I see the length of the axis in this diagram, that is the front view, the length of the axis is 60 mm, and when I see the length of the axis in this diagram, it will be varying. That is from O1 to O2. O1 to O2 in this diagram is nothing but it is 60 mm. O1 to O2 in this diagram, it is nothing but it will be less than 60. So in that case, it is a beta angle problem where in which again I need to go back, check out in the question whether I have appears to be in the question or no. Since I don't have appears to be in the question, it is the beta angle problem for which what I'm going to do, the first thing is measure the true length of the axis. True length of the axis is nothing but it is 60 mm here. So I'm going to draw 60 mm first. Then I'm going to draw the locus here. I'm going to draw the locus which will be parallel to my XY line. Then I'm going to measure the original length of O1 to O2 on this line. I'm going to measure the original length of O1 to O2 in this line, and I'm going to cut this out. What I'm going to cut? I'm going to cut the locus. Once I cut it, I'm going to join it. Then I'm going to name it with O1 to O2. Then I'm going to have the same thing which I'm going to project it upwards because I need to place this rectangle which starts 1. I'm going to name it here. 2, 3. This is 3 point and this is 4 point. This whole rectangle which I'm going to place, this imaginary rectangle which I get here, this thing I'm going to place it on this O1 to O2, for which I'm going to extend these two lines, measure from O1 to this line what is the distance from here, cut this down and measure from O2 to point A, from O2 to point A what is the distance, cut it down. So you will have this line and this line. So when you get 2 points, draw the 90-degree line here, then measure from A to whatever is the distance. A to 2, what is the distance? A to 3, what is the distance? So this is my point A here. A to 2, I'm drawing a 90-degree line on this case. A to 2, A to 3, the same distance from this point A to 1 and A to 4. Join the rectangle, then place all the points which are required on that rectangle. So I hope so you know this. I have already taken it in the problems which we have already, and then once I do it, I'm going to place this whole pentagon and join all the edges of the bottom base and the top base, and also the longer edges which run from the bottom base to the top base. I'm going to place it along this new line which I have drawn. So I'm going to place this down. Once I place it, I'm going back to the top, A to B and C to C and D to D as well as E to E. Once I have this part, I'm going to join all these. Once I join it, I'm going to find out the corners of A, B, C, and D and E. Once I get those corners, I'm going to name it down with A dash, B dash, C dash, D dash, and E dash. These are the corners of the bottom base, which is meeting at a point from the side projection as well as the upward projection. Once I know this, I'm going to join those lines before with all the corners, that is A dash, B dash, C dash, D dash, and E dash. Once I know it, I'm going to have a O2 projection. Then I'm going to have the top base projection, that is P, Q, R, S, and T. So I'm going to have the top base projection on the top. Once I have this, Once I have the projections, the corners meeting two lines, that is from the bottom to the sideways, it is my P. And you are also in the sketchbook, you are not going to draw the rangolis like this. You are going to project from P to P only the meeting point. You are not drawing the lines however you want, and it should be almost similar to what we are showing it here. Once I complete, I'm going to join all the lines. Once I join it, I need to know the dotted lines. To know the dotted line, I need to know the farthest corner in this view. Farthest corner in this view, I'm going to find out. To find out the farthest corner again, it is, I'm going to find the farthest corner in this case. The farthest corner is nothing but, for me, it is nothing but R. The farthest corner, for me, it is nothing but R. So once I do it, I'm going to place from the line going out from R, I'm going to find out. So the line going out from R is nothing but R to Q and R to S as well as R to C. I have the lines going out from R are nothing but, you can see it here, that is R to Q, R to S as well as R to C. So it is R to Q, R to S and R to C. But this is not sufficient with the dotted line because it is resting on the edge. So for which what I have to do is, I need to know one more Y, because I have only two Y's here. This is my first Y and this is my second Y. So it is resting on two edges, I mean two corners, that is a edge. I'm getting on the edge. Edge means a line, imaginary line joining two edges. If it is so, I need to find out two edges, the two corners here, which are the farthest. The first farthest is the R, the next two R, which is the next farthest from this point. If I'm seeing it from this point, which is the next farthest from R, it is nothing but Q. So the line going out from Q will also be dotted. So the line going out from R and Q will be dotted. So the line going out from R raise R to Q, R to S and R to C, and line going out from Q to P, Q to B and Q to R. So these are the two Y's which I get here, and these are the dotted lines. Now how to find it out? It is going to be on this first problem itself. If all the problems from pentagon to the hexagon, if it is resting on an edge, make sure that you get two Y's as a hidden line. That is B to C, C to D, and C to R, and D to C, D to E, and D to S. That means I get two Y's here because I have a edge resting, and on my right hand side I have two corners. On the same diagram I'm going to draw here, next is the farthest corner, it is R. Next farthest corner leaving R, it is not S, it is Q. So lines going out from Q and R will be dotted. That is the very, very important. Okay, I have this, I'm done with this problem. If you have any doubts, you can just ask me. And today I'll be giving some homework problems, which I'll be sharing it in the group. Only the number which you need to do it and send it back after I. Reply to me on my WhatsApp or however you want. But don't keep your doubts and sit together. The problems will multiply because you have multiplying subjects.
Yes.
So now and then you should need to cross verify, complete your problems and doubts, and go further. So please make sure, please, you are not going to keep those doubts with you. If you are not able to